Story 1. Groups of people who walk side by side and block the entire aisle, sidewalk, hallway, entrance, or any other public space are often oblivious to whoever is behind them or in front of them. I judge not so secretly, though. Story 2. I don't know if it's normal, but the rise of short-form videos, notably on platforms like TikTok, has led to people just mindlessly scrolling with no headphones in public. Nothing will make my blood boil faster than hearing a poor-quality TikTok video for 2 seconds, then a new one for 3 seconds, and so on. I'm so far past the point of caring that I'll directly ask the person to mute it. The incredible thing is how many people are taken aback by me asking, like, "You're in a Starbucks, you inconsiderate person." Story 3. People who walk around with their eyes totally glued to their phones, barely registering where they are going. Also, people who have phone conversations in public bathrooms. Story 4. People who use social media to post about how great their relationship is, how much they love their family, etc., often don't need to prove anything. None of the happy couples on my social media have to scream, "We are happy," at the top of their lungs at least twice a day. Methinks you doth protest too much. Story 5. Bluetooth speakers blasting music in public spaces make me want to bring back the guillotine while also pitying every single person in that person's life. Story 6. Parents that let their kids run and scream all over Walmart, crying because they want something. I took care of that with my children. The first time they did it, I gave them a verbal warning. Before we got out of the car, I told them what I expected out of them and reminded them. Then, when they tried to escalate the situation, I left my stuff in the basket, and we went home. The next time, I did all that and made them stay home with their dad. Story 7. Fake eyelashes that are so long. How do you lift your eyelid? Doesn't that interfere with sight? I have seen some totally outrageous ones on kids, like preteen kids. Story 8. I judge anyone who names their child Khaleesi or any other unique book name. It's always obvious the ones who haven't read the books and who only watch stuff in passing but like the name. Story 9. People who use the public restroom stall right next to you when there are a dozen empty stalls. Like, why? If it's the only available stall, then no worries, but why would you want to do your business 2 feet from a stranger if you don't have to? Story 10. People allowing their dogs to bark for hours, whether it's due to leaving the dog unattended at home or if it's that the dog is just set loose on the property and keeps on barking at anything that moves in their range of vision, seems to be normal in Poland, my home country. However, I think it's cruel for the dog and for anyone who has to spend their days listening to the constant noise. Story 11. Photo shoots and overly designed parties for children are essentially any event where it's obvious the priority was going to be posting about it on social media later. I'm someone who likes sharing limited pictures on social media, but I prefer anything ugly and candid over a 2-year-old holding a balloon alone in a sunflower field. Like, oh boy, I bet that made some memories. Story 12. People who text and drive. I have been in 4 accidents, none my fault. And I hate that people are so inconsiderate that you could literally kill someone or derail their whole life with a text message. If something is important or an emergency, it's a call hands-free. No text is worth my life or anyone else's. Story 13. Cyclists who do not follow the rules of the road or otherwise ride recklessly, such as running red lights to cut across oncoming traffic, sailing through pedestrian crossings when pedestrians have the right-of-way, or riding without a helmet and other protective gear, create danger for themselves and others. I also judge the excuse that some cyclists give, which is that they only do things like skip red lights when the roads are quiet and there's no point in waiting. A road safety rule is a rule 24 hours a day, and roads can become busy in a split second. I see this a lot in London, but I'm sure it happens elsewhere as well. I wish for better cycling provision on London's roads for the safety of all street users and sympathize with how dangerous some areas and junctions are. But I still judge every single cyclist who creates danger when they could avoid it. Story 14. When some inconsiderate person is driving a super loud muscle car or motorcycle and just revving it at a stoplight like, "Look at me and my big loud car or bike. I'm super cool." I can't help but shake my head and judge them. It's so sad. Need attention much, Chad? Sorry about your issues. Story 15. When people park right next to you in an empty parking lot. I was in the gym today and was looking out. The gym was empty, so was the parking lot, and I still parked a bit away from the entrance. However, someone still drove all the way to my vehicle and parked right beside it. On a positive note, it got me annoyed enough that I pushed a bit harder on my next set and set a personal record. Story 16. I silently judge people who want to follow every trend. Home decor, clothes, hair, even hobbies. It seems exhausting to me to try so hard, and also to not know what you actually like. Story 17. People that are mean or rude to workers or those subordinate to them. I don't know if that counts, but I see it happen a lot. Often, people take the side of the customer or the person in a superior position, and they get away with it. Admit when you are wrong and move on. We are all human and just trying to get by. Story 18. When people post long Reddit posts and don't use paragraphs, it's frustrating. Like, sorry, but I cannot read through your great wall of text and understand what's going on. Are paragraphs not just a commonly accepted thing anymore? Story 19. Parents who bring tablets or other electronics for their kids anytime they leave the house, even on short outings, and place it in front of their child as soon as they sit down at a restaurant. I really shouldn't judge. We are nowhere near screen-free, but something about never leaving the house without the tablet just feels wrong. Story 20. People who blast music through a Bluetooth speaker in public. I live in the United Kingdom, and the number of times I've ridden the bus with a group of youths at the back, blasting low-quality SoundCloud rap music, is too many to count. Story 21. Wearing conspicuous luxury brands. I am a very boring suburban mom who wears yoga pants from Target, and it is not jealousy or a sense of superiority. I will secretly assume that you are either shallow, bad at budgeting, or both if you are flaunting a bunch of brand logos. I want to think, it is their money, live and let live, but it is not what I actually think. Story 22. People, especially those with less financial means, who spend money on designer clothing need to reconsider. Designer clothing isn't a sign of wealth or status. It's essentially broadcasting to everyone that you're easily influenced. I'm sorry, but if you spend hundreds of dollars on a shirt simply because it has a particular logo on it, you're making a poor decision. Story 23. Loud kids. Maybe part of it was because my brother and I were quiet kids, but I hate it when people let their kids yell and scream in public. I don't care how normal it is, it's annoying. And I know it's unfair because I don't have and don't want kids, so I don't have to worry about controlling them. But to me, that just makes it all the more annoying. I didn't choose the path of obnoxious kids. Keep them in a crate or whatever you do. Story 24. Blind dedication to political parties baffles me. It amazes me how people will stand behind the least effective candidates, regardless of the poor results they bring. Disregard for George Bush, by the way. Story 25. People who pull on the leash attached to a dog's collar when their dog doesn't follow or pauses for any reason. Actually, I secretly judge people a lot based on how they treat their animals. Story 26. Not washing your hands after you're done with the toilet. I don't care how clean or what you did or what you didn't touch. I will judge and think you're disgusting. Toilets are filled with germs. Before anyone says it, I also avoid touching the door handle on the way out, since no one washes their hands. Story 27. People who obsessively talk about and watch the news. My family, particularly the older crowd like my mom and older, never shut up about it. It's always how person X was murdered or person Y is missing and how that guy stole this and that family lost their dog to some weird disease. They just endlessly swim in tragedy, and it grinds my gears how they do this day in and day out. Nothing they watch is useful to them, but we have to stay informed. Informed about what? How a house burned down 2 counties away, how a trucker slammed into a minivan on the highway. Boy, that really helps to know for my daily routine. Unless there's a bee on the lookout, a health watch, or some kind of far-reaching issue/problem, the news is utterly useless and just an endless barrage of sadness and misfortune. Story 28. I secretly judge people who cannot spend enough time looking at themselves, posting about themselves, and uploading their pictures to the web. Really? Do you look that good? I just don't get all that social media habit of putting your business out in the street like that. I came from a generation where you kept your business to yourself. Marketing was for companies. But nowadays, you have to market yourself all the time. You have to make yourself some brand and live up to that brand. I am so glad I was able to have a successful career without having to do that. Story 29. Declaring eternal love to your significant other over social media. I don't need to use social media to tell my wife how much I love her on top of actually demonstrating it day to day. I truly believe that people who do that constantly are overcompensating. Story 30. People who sunbathe or tan. With how much we know now about how damaging and dangerous too much sun exposure is, it baffles me that so many people still actively try so hard to tan. I don't know why people want to go out of their way to damage their skin and massively increase their cancer chances. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's one thing to end up tan just by being outdoors, and another to actively go to tanning booths or lay outside trying to get a tan. Story 31. How mean and nasty people can be on the internet. It should not be normal. Yet it seems it is, and it bothers me so much. Seriously, it costs nothing at all to be kind and understand that we can disagree with each other without being nasty and name-calling. Also, 9 times out of 10, those same people wouldn't say all those horrible things if they were face-to-face, or maybe they would. I don't know. I just wish the world as a whole could just be a bit kinder. Story 32. People who are massively concerned with the urgent need to secure our borders, but can't be bothered to look up how to spell borders seem very common with the most obsessive ones. Story 33. People piercing their babies' ears. I don't care if it's cultural. I don't care if you went to a well-regarded professional to have it done. I don't care if they didn't even cry. You are putting cosmetic holes in your baby's body before they can consent to it. Story 34. I hate when people ruin other people's enjoyment to share their own opinion. Recently, I came across matching pumpkin pajamas for my kids and swooped them up while they had all the sizes available. I ran into a family member in the store and showed them the cute pajamas I was buying, and they were raining on my parade. No, it's too early. It's still summer. Blah, blah, blah. Leave me alone and let me enjoy thinking about fall if I want to. They aren't even wearing them yet when it's 95 degrees. I have endless examples of this where someone doesn't want to let you feel joy. Like, we bought a house and someone in my family commented about the road getting to it not being paved nicely. Again, be quiet and talk about all the awesome things about our new house. Why can't they let others enjoy what makes them happy as long as it's not hurting anyone? Story 35. Smokers. It's largely because my last jobs have involved picking them up from parking lots. I just can't fathom that there are so many people in the world who want to treat public areas as their own personal ashtray. On top of that, you're smoking in 2024? Can't we leave that behind as a society? Story 36. I know this might seem odd and superficial, but I'm referring to nail polish that should have been removed a long time ago. Imagine just a clump of color kind of in the middle of the nail on all or most nails. Story 37. Kids and teenagers nowadays speak in TikTok slang. I'm feeling so old, not understanding half of what they are saying due to all the new trends in language. Story 38. If I allow a pedestrian to cross in front of my car on a street or in a parking lot, and they cross diagonally instead of in a straight line, which would be quicker. Story 39. Smoking is considered normal. I especially hate it when they do it near kids, in a restaurant, or at the entrance of something. The disgusting smell and smoke always make me judge. Story 40. People who openly talk about how much they love reading explicit content. I am as open-minded as they come, but we would all be uncomfortable if the conversation was about what type of pornography we like to watch. However, because it is in a book about fairy gatherings of a mature nature or whatever, I am supposed to feign interest. Story 41. Someone who watches something in public without headphones. I had a dentist appointment, and while waiting in the lobby, there was a guy who watched a movie at full volume. He was the only one making noise, completely oblivious.